Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Power of Emotional Learning and Self-Efficacy. This is a general career and technical education session with ICEV. It is an honor to be here with you all today, and we look forward to sharing with you some tips that I have taken away from my relatively brief time as a classroom teacher, but my over 20 years of human resources management, training, and education. So let's dig in. Um, so our questions that we're going to ponder today is, what is student-centered learning and why does it even matter? What is the necessary trade-off for effective social and emotional health in a classroom? And what are three things that you can begin doing today to make a difference in your classroom with your students? A little bit about me. My name is Javaria Dent. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a believer in Christ. I am a pastor, an educator, a social entrepreneur, and a change agent. Why did I put all of that out there? Because every day when I show up to work, I bring all of those things with me. I bring all of the experiences that I have lived, my beliefs, my worldview, my perception, the lens through which I analyze things. I bring all of that with me into the classroom every single day. And guess what? So do your students. Our students bring with them their past experiences, their traumas, their parents. Every day, you're going to see a picture or a glimpse of a child's home every day because we bring those things with us into our learning space every day. It would be a lie for me to say that who I am as a believer in Christ does not impact the way that I teach. Now, do I proselytize? Absolutely not. Do I believe in the separation of church and state? Absolutely. But when I go into a situation, I am often bringing the principles, the practices, and the person of the one in whom I believe with me. And so it is impossible for people to say that they don't bring their world lens, their worldview, their social constructs into the classroom space. We absolutely do every day. But that's less important for our understanding than it is for our students. Our students bring all of who they are into the classroom every day. And we have to know that in order to effectively teach them. I am an educator at Excel Day and Evening Academy in Mobile. It is the first public charter school in the state of Alabama. We serve on average 300 across Mobile. But she needed smaller classes. She needed access to a higher degree of pedagogy, a different type of approach when it came to learning in the classroom than my youngest daughter, who is in the IB and early college program at Murphy High School, which is a large public high school here in Mobile. So our students need different things. And education is not a one size fit all. Your classroom is not a one size fits all. And today we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to dig deeper into what that looks like and what that means. So our first question to ponder is, what is student-centered learning? What does that really mean? I heard that a lot my first couple of years of teaching because I've only been in the classroom. This is going on my 5th year of being in a high school classroom. It is really student-led learning. It places the responsibility and the load of learning back onto the student. And it forces students to engage in higher order thinking and to develop the interpersonal skills that we claim that they need to be socially and emotionally healthy Skills such as relationship management and healthy decision making, those key workforce development skills are at the epicenter of student-centered learning. If done correctly, we put the responsibility and the load back into the hands of the students. And you would be amazed at our students' responses when we do just that. Trading wealth for health in order to build wealth. What does that mean? I asked the question, one of our questions to ponder was, what is the trade-off for social emotional health in the classroom? What is the price that we have to pay when we ignore the social emotional health of our students? When we ignore the fact that all of who they are, all of their issues, their traumas, their strengths, their weaknesses, their abilities, but also their challenges come into the classroom with them every day. Now, I'm not talking about coddling, and I think that is one of the great substitutes we have made in education. We think that social emotional health is about coddling kids. It's about lowering the bar. It's about meeting them where they are and not overwhelming them or putting too much pressure on them. And I say that we are doing our students a huge disservice when we do not hold the bar high. Because coming from an HR background, let me backtrack a minute and tell you how I even got into education. For 20 years, I was in HR, human resources management. I managed everything from energy centers to law firms. My last law firm was in Washington, D.C., and then due to family situations, I found myself back home in Mobile, Alabama. And I got a job working at a business process outsourcing center, which is a fancy name for a call center here in Mobile. And it was a pretty large call center. We had, when I started, we had a capacity, I think we had 550 seats. We grew to 780 seats. And when I left, we had just under 1,000 seats, 1,000 associates that were working for us. I managed over 58 team leaders, 10 associate directors. I reported to a site director. We partnered together. And the largest cause of turnover in our organization was due to tardiness and absenteeism. It wasn't because people couldn't take the calls. It wasn't because people couldn't do the work. It was simply because people didn't come to work. Or if they did come, they came late. A lot of my employees, the average demographic of my employee was between the ages of 18 and 26. They were typically female, typically single mothers with 2 to 3 children in the home. And there was a lot of call outs. Now, you could attribute that to having small children and all of the things that come with being a single parent. But at the end of the day, my client didn't care. At the end of the day, my client said that if we're going to route a certain amount of calls to this call center by which we were paid for the number of calls we took. If we're going to give you the volume, we need to have the butts in seats, excuse my language, to take the calls. We have to have the people and the capacity to take the calls. And you can't be there. If I have a call coming into your station scheduled to come in at 7:02, you can't get there, be pulling into the parking lot at 7:05 and wondering why you're getting written up because you're late. So why do I tell you all this? I say all that in this presentation because somewhere along the line, we stopped teaching students basic workforce development skills. That is the purpose of CEV. The purpose of this platform, the purpose of this curriculum is to help teach our students 21st century workforce development skills. And I think that we have caved in to culture, and we've set our children up for failure. Because when they get into the real world, my 18 to 20-year-olds were in culture shock. No, you cannot come to work 5 minutes late. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is unacceptable. That was the mantra that by which we lived in our call center. And so, what does that have to do with social emotional health? I'm glad you asked. Part of social emotional health is taking responsibility for our choices and our decisions. It's about holding our students accountable for the choices and the decisions that they make when they decide to be late to our class, when they decide no matter what is going on at home, you decided not to do my work. And yes, there's room for grace and there's room for compassion. I'm not saying we take those things out, but at some point, we have to build the capacity for them to exercise, to develop the essential workforce development skills that employers need. The top things that employers have told you, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, is that we need people that'll come to work and that'll come to work consistently, that have good work ethic, that believe in working until a job is done and not just when they hit a wall, but really completing a task. And so all of that is tied to the social emotional health of our students. And so we feel like we're trading wealth. And when I say trading wealth, we understand that there are certain targets, certain benchmarks that we have all been set and called to deliver on with regards to our students. But when we ignore that building the capacity and holding our students accountable for results, then we set them up. We're actually trading their long-term wealth for our short-term health, because they're not going to achieve the level of success that they would had they just built the capacity for social emotional, for workforce development, basic workforce development skills. So finally, I told you we were going to talk about my key three. The key three that I would hope that you take away from this presentation, this time together, is one, ask questions of our students, but then listen for their answers. I think that is where the grace and the compassion comes in. Ask questions of students. The beauty in working in a smaller environment is that I actually learn the names of all my students every year. And not just the students that I have in my classroom, all 330 students across the building. We are tasked as staff and faculty to learn all of their names, so we know them. And when we see a student, even if he or she is not my student, I see them and they're in the hallway and their head is down and their countenance is down and their body language is somewhat off, we ask questions and take a moment and listen for their answers. That is critical to social emotional health. The second thing is set boundaries and help your students develop their own boundaries. I'm reading an excellent book by Dr. Tim Elmore called 12 Huge Mistakes That Parents Can Avoid. And one of the things that he talks about is setting boundaries, is establishing those fences to protect our students, our children. But at some point, our children have to establish their own fences. They have to establish their own boundaries. We hope as parents and as adults that they set their fence, that they establish their fence close to the one that we have set in most cases. But it has to be theirs, because if they grow up leaning or depending on our boundaries, the moment life leans against it or a strong wind blows against it, then their fence, their boundary is going to crumble. It's going to give way. So help our students set healthy boundaries for their own lives. And we do that a lot by going back to number one, asking questions. What does success look like for you? One of the exercises that we do in my class is a writing prompt. And one of the writing prompts says, I will feel successful in my life when I have ... Complete that statement. And I'm constantly amazed at the answers that my students give. And being able to understand where they are positions me to be able to challenge them to where they could go. So I help them set boundaries, develop their own boundaries. The last thing is celebrate success, but don't water down the goal to get them there. One of the key insights that Dr. Elmore talks about in his book is that this generation, this Y generation, those born after the year 2000, have the highest sense of entitlement and arrogance, but the lowest self-esteem in history. So you have the highest amount of arrogance, and yet the lowest self-esteem in history. I found that fascinating. And one of the key things that contributes to that is that our students see that we have somehow lowered the bar. We've watered down success. So achievements and accomplishments no longer really feel like true achievements and accomplishments because we've so watered down the bar. Who ever heard of getting a trophy for ninth place? Why does everybody get participation trophies? Where did that come from? In life, there are no participation awards. And this is not to say in life there are just winners and losers. That's vacillating onto the other extreme. But what it is saying is that we have to help our students celebrate success, but also celebrate failure. Because failure is an option and it is a reality. But guess what? It is also one of the greatest blessings that we have. Most key discoveries in life, most triumphs and the biggest comebacks happen after failure. And so when our students don't know how to fail, then they'll never really experience true success. So we have to help our students learn how to fail. And I know that seems counterintuitive as educators because we're all about the passing rate. We're all about getting them passed. But we have to teach our children how to fail. Because without failure, you don't really understand what success is. Thomas Edison says, I didn't fail at creating the light bulb. I found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb. But it was after thousands and thousands and thousands of failures that we got a light bulb. So, ask questions, listen for answers, set boundaries, and help your students develop their own. Celebrate their success, but please don't water down the goal line to get them there. Make it real and authentic for them, and it'll feel sweeter. Thank you for taking time to hear me out today. It was a pleasure sharing with you. I hope that you got something out of this. I'm going to share with you my contact information, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks so much. So here are the ways to get in touch with me: my Facebook, my Twitter, my email, and my phone. Hopefully we'll stay in touch, and I hope to hear from you soon. In the meantime, take care, God bless, and let's continue to build another generation of the workforce. Take care.